Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Since my last video it's been a few days and there's been a big Windows update, so all my sound settings have changed, so I'm having to live stream this in hopes that I can get it all to work as everything's a bit messed up. But hopefully you guys are hearing this all loud and clear, and let's get underway. So in my front line I have gone for Dryads. This is a typical rush build I like to bring. I thought I'd try it out against the Empire, which is always a good matchup. So Dryads across the front line, very good at taking down chaff and so forth, have a little bit of, damage dealing themselves. They are forest spirits, of course they do magic damage and so forth, and have a bit of an immunity, but they also are weak against armor. But they have Vanguard deploy, and you want to hit the enemy as fast as possible with this army. Now in the second line, I do have 3 units of Wild Riders. I believe there's a third unit. There he is on the left-hand flank. They're going to be swooping in, trying to do a ton of shock damage. We do have one very sneaky unit in the back there, but it looks like my opponent was expecting such a thing and has some Empire Knights in the back to try and defend. Now, in my own deployment zone, I only have 3 units. I have the Loex Tricksters right here, which are War Dancers, Regiment of Renowned, super good unit, anti-large, do a ton of damage against cav and so forth. My army doesn't have too many answers to things like that and large units, so this should be very valuable. We have a Spellsinger of Life up top here, who's got Shield of Thorns and Earthblood. And of course we do have Orion, and he is what centers this entire army. Not only is he super tanky with his Cloak of Isha and so forth, the main ability we're looking for is the Horn of the Wild Hunt, plus 54% charge bonus. So as these Wild Riders and Dryads hit, and do that massive shock damage with that burst of the Horn of the Wild Hunt, should get in there and absolutely crump some Humies. So for my opponent, he has gone for a couple of Empire Knights, which I quite like this pick. They're fairly decent. They can do okay against Wild Riders if they get the charge, but apart from Wild Riders, they can walk over a lot of the Wood Elf army. Then the back, just in case I have brought any large, he does have the Royal Outdoor of Griffites, Regiment around Demigryph Knights. These guys used to be crazy. They still are very powerful. I believe when the first Total War 1 came out, these guys could take down like Kolek single-handedly. Now they struggle a little bit more, but they do a ton of anti-large damage, a very elite unit there. And for the front line, he has gone for Swordsman, but these guys are all chevroned up to Gold Chevron, and one of them even double Gold Chevron. In the back, he has a couple of units of Spearmen just to hold the line of Silver Chevroned up, so he's liking his Chevrons today. He also has the Regiment Renowned Handgunners, the Silver Bullets, some more Gold Chevron Swordsmen protecting the Hammer of the Witches, Regiment Renowned Great Cannon, fantastic taking down big targets, also does a decent amount of damage to infantry. My opponent also has a Celestial Wizard. Let's see. It looks like he's got Cursive, the Midnight Winds, and what's that other one? And Wind Blast, which is all good. And up in the sky, he has Boris Todbringer. So without further ado, let's get this underway. Boris, of course, for those who don't know, is basically the cheaper version of Karl Franz. Does pretty much the same thing, a little bit cheaper, a little bit worse. So it looks like we are going to get the charge downhill on my opponent, who very cleverly did kind of expect this flank, but hasn't reacted. And with that charge bonus, Wild Riders should tear apart Empire Knights fairly comfortably. You can see us getting in there with that early charge, doing a ton of shock damage. They already lost a chunk of health, getting down to losing a quarter right there. The rest of the front line, we do get a little bit overzealous with some Wild Riders. We're going to be pulling those back, but they are taking a bit of unnecessary damage. We get another downhill charge, though, by the Wild Riders on this flank into some Empire Knights. They are running away, but we're getting a little bit of poke damage done on them, which is all good for us. Now, my opponent's attempted to do the same thing I'm doing here and just kind of hitting and running. So Empire Knights are coming crashing into these Dryads, so we're going to respond with these Wild Riders, who initially did take a nasty volley from the Silver Bullets. They're getting in there, and you can see there's some big spears being thrown by Orion as well. He's popped Foe Seeker just to give himself a bit of speed and get close to the battlefield. The Loex Tricksters, of course, have popped all their buffs as well, increasing their speed, trying to hunt down these Empire Knights. It looks like the Demigryph Knights are coming up for a counter charge, being assisted by Spearmen, which is very bad for my Wild Riders. However, we have a second unit ourselves coming crashing in. It looks like they're both going to be meeting in the middle of this engagement. Looks like, for the most part, we have had the upper side of things. The Empire Knights getting rather torn up, and it looks like they may rout. However, Demigryph Knights are a different matter entirely, especially with Spearmen moving in there as well. In the background, we are slowly grinding down these Empire Knights. They have lasted a rather long time, however. We need to get rid of them as quick as possible so we can pop into the back on top of these Silver Bullets. Toddy's just floating around. He's got 4 kills at the moment, but he doesn't want to stick and fight against Loex Tricksters and Orion, so he is retreating a little bit. It looks like we have managed to make these Empire Knights rout. The rest of our forces are just pushing up, and on this left flank we stayed in a little bit longer than we should have, but we are now pulling back with these Wild Riders, getting ready for a second charge. Looks like we have popped the Horn of the Wild Hunt now for that 54% charge bonus. So in return, we are going to recharge back into these Demigryph Knights. And with that extra charge bonus, we're going to do a huge amount of damage. You can see their health just absolutely getting decimated there on these super elite units, as well as the Dryads who are charging in against these chevroned up units. And we've got some Wild Riders in the back hunting down the silver bullets, doing a huge amount of shock damage straight from the gate, and these guys are going to fall really quickly. So Dryads all across the front line are going to be winning their engagements because of that big charge bonus, but as that does disappear, these gold chevron swordsmen should put up a decent fight. And it looks like in the back both our Wild Riders have been terrified, but in return we did manage to actually break the Royal Elf Griffites. So now we have Dryads fighting Spearmen, which is a good engagement for us, although the Cursed Midnight Wind has been popped, and these Wild Riders have rallied, and they're going to hunt down these Royal Elf Griffites. The back, it looks like we have routed off the silver bullets, and we are starting to win the main engagement in the front line, which is all good for us. Dryads pop in, it looks like we do also have a very healthy Shield of Thorns pop down, just to help us push through that centre. Now catching the Royal Elf Griffites in a bit of a sandwich with these Empire Knights, 2 units of Wild Riders coming crashing in, plus a third on the charge. These guys just stand no chance, they're going to get broken. Empire Knights rout, and it looks like these Demigryphs are not long for this world. They're also just about to rout. There we go. There's not much chance of those guys coming back. A lot of units shattering, including these silver bullets. We have smashed into the back line now as well with these Wild Riders. There was some Spearmen protecting, but what we did was we just simply looped our way around and charged in, trying to drag these guys off their cannons, moving up with some Dryads as well in an attempt to deal with some Spearmen. Now it has formed into a main mosh pit right here. We have Loic Tricksters mixed in with Dryads who are going to be dragging down Empire Knights and should slowly deal with these swordsmen. Have another great Cursed Midnight Wind by my opponent, very well played there. Also dropping some fire down on the Wild Riders, but nothing too crazy in the back line there. And now all 3 units of Wild Riders, which did clear up this entire left flank, have come crashing in. And yes, Spearmen can do a decent job against them, but this many units come crashing and we are going to rout them. And the end of the battlefield is just here, so we'll be able to chase those guys off quite comfortably. Now Ryan's doing his stuff. Let's see how many kills he's up to. 37, doing decent. Slowly carving through swordsmen. And Loic Tricksters are rather near Boris here, so they're probably going to turn and engage or try and drag down that Celestial Wizard. Now Boris did manage to hop on top of my Spellslinger and chase him off, but he has rallied, and now he's just going to be chasing off some Empire Knights and then coming back and dropping some spells. The Wild Riders just bouncing between combats now. They've charged on top of these swordsmen, routed them off as well, and they just need to come back to this main engagement. Over in the distance, it looks like the Dryads, who do actually now have the Horn of the Wild Hunt popped, did finally beat down those Spearmen, who lasted a very long time. But the Wild Riders now, with that horn popped, are going to be doing a nice rear attack into these swordsmen, absolutely shattering and breaking them, and it looks like they're also going to manage to surround Boris and shatter him as well. So we have a close victory for the Wood Elves. Let's go to the end stats. So as we can see, the damage was kind of dealt fairly evenly across my forces. You know, Dryads doing a decent amount of job. 55 kills here, 27, 28, 44, 29. But the Wild Riders are just what carries this force so well. You can see they've all chevroned up. 125 kills, 135 kills on 2 units. And even the 2 that got less are still 45 and 62. They really neutered these Empire Knights, who, yes, have a lot of armor. So if they get the charge, can trade okay with Wild Riders. But a lot of the time we got the charge, including with that horn popped from Orion. We just managed to take out these 3 units. And as you can see, they pretty much did nothing. So overall, well played to my opponent though. Unfortunately, I can't see his name. I think his name was just blanked out, which is always a bit risky playing those, as you never know why they have their name blanked out in case they're going to, try some sneaky schemes. But overall, super fun game. Hope to face him again at some point. And this type of build is really good against Empire. I highly recommend trying out the rush build. A lot of people just go for that Weight Watcher tactic, but you can often catch a lot of people off guard. Which I think I managed to catch my opponent off guard, and overall, super fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do leave a like down below. There's more videos coming in, hopefully a stream on Wednesday. Also, feel free to subscribe if you're into all that Total War content. Now, hopefully the sound quality and everything is all good on this. I'm having to stream it, which is a bit odd. I can't actually hear myself in the headphones while I do this. It seems to have reset kind of my microphone, my headphones, everything. So I need to go through and sort it all out. But hopefully it's all good. And peace, guys. Stay awesome, and I'll see you next time.